the first time of asking, that's when they frustratingly just sort of disappear out of our view. We catch the roofs of the car down the Bentley Straight, but then towards the bottom of it we lose sight of them, and as they flip their way through Brundle and Nelson for the first time, Cater of the lead, a pair of BMWs in second and third place. Benedict then in fourth place. Darren goes in fifth position, and it looks as though it's Warren Allen that's there in sixth place. He did get a good start, as I said, and that engine being over the rear axle really means that the Porsche gets off the line well on the standing start. He's from 8th up to 6th position, I believe, at this stage, as they are about to come through and conclude lap number 1 here in this 45-minute race. Over the start-finish line comes our race leader, Ben Simmons, leads the race. It's the orange BMW of Jamie Gibbs there in second place, the silver machine of David Gardner in third place. Mark Nenadic is under pressure from his teammate, which is Darren Goes, the slightly newer shaped Seat Leon, jinks out from behind to the right-hand side of the circuit, looking for the inside line, but Mark Nenadic is having none of it at this stage. He hangs on to the position, and it means that for Darren Goes, he's going to have another nibble elsewhere around the course of the lap. A few cars out there, I think, with transponders not working. I think in second place or third place, David Gardner's transponder not working. It's showing that he's not come through and over the start-finish line. It's the same for Mark Nenadic, and also the number 65 car of Steve Allen is not showing. Warren Allen rather, is not showing us having come through over the course of that lap, so TSL are having to sort of slot them back in manually. So race leaders just heading into and out of Agostini. There is one car that I'm not sure did come through at the end of that lap, and that's the Volkswagen Golf of Nick Barton, and I'm just having a look to see whether that is there or not. It is not in the pit lane. I'm looking out towards the bits of the circuit that I can see with the naked eye, and there's nothing obvious there. Against towards the camera screens doesn't offer up a great deal of possibilities either, but Matt, something you might have news.
Yeah, from what I saw, I don't think it started the race on the grid, so it was missing.
Right, thanks Matt, haven't spotted that one. And yeah, confirmation that there are a couple of cars without transponders working. The car in third place, no transponder. The car in sixth position, Warren Allen, no transponder. So what happens, they come over the start-finish line, and because the transponder isn't working, it doesn't register, and it just takes a while for TSL to slot them back in the order. In fact, I can now see the Volkswagen Golf directly. Is not able to start the race, and might be a story to maybe out there if Matt can find the driver. Race leader though, pulling away as expected really, on the base of Ben Simmons, was 1.9 seconds quicker in qualifying than anybody else. You would expect that that car would pull away in the lead of the race, and that's exactly what is happening at this stage. The Caterham, which of course is not the most powerful car in the field, but is the lightest and by far the most nimble, is already starting to really stretch its legs after just 2 laps of racing. It's got a 4.3 second advantage between itself and Jamie Gibbs in second place, who is still under pressure from the slightly newer shape BMW of David Gardner, but it's the E36 BMW of Jamie Gibbs that heads the E46 of David Gardner in the early stages of this one. Darren Goes has managed to get himself through and ahead of his teammate, so it's Darren Goes in the slightly newer shape Seat Leon now ahead of Mark Nenadic, who is there in 5th position. Warren Allen's Porsche is in 6th place. Mark Flowers' BMW is in 7th place. Then it's Steve Gales at the wheel of his Seat Leon that's in 8th place. All of those cars running in Class S, so the leading car in Class A currently is Martin Cully at the wheel of his Mark 1 Seat Leon Cupra. Martin, who has been racing not just this car, but a range of cars over the years. We've seen him out in the likes of Volkswagen Ventos, we've seen him out in a Volkswagen Beetle for a period of time, both in the VAG Trophy and in the Volkswagen Racing Cup, and of course in this Seat Leon, which has been what he's been competing in for the last several years. His father Barry is also on the grid as well. Martin is in 9th place. Barry is in 11th place at the wheel of car number 11, the second of the Mark 1 Seat Leons that we've got in the field. Race leader though, starting to pull away ever more underneath the vehicle bridge, down through Brundle and Nelson goes Ben Simmons in the lead of the race. And, well, as you say, he managed to secure second spot in the first round of the championship that we had at Donington Park. Brutal racing cases go well last year as well. They claimed an overall victory at Donington, but last victory along the way, not least of which at the likes of Silverstone and the Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit for Callum McDougall and Ben Simmons. But it's just Ben that's behind the wheel today, not sharing the car as he did at Donington Park. And all of the time, just stretching the lead advantage between himself and the pair of battling Beamers for second and third place. Jamie Gibbs cannot shake away David Gardner. The E36 still heads the newer shape E46 over the start-finish line. The two of them pretty evenly matched throughout the course of the 3-mile lap here, or 2.9689 to be absolutely precise. Mile lap here of the Snetterton 300 circuit. Darren goes still sitting there in 4th place. He's just pulled away to the tune of another 1/10 of a second from Mark Menedich. And then it's still Warren Allen at the wheel of his Porsche number 65 that occupies the final place inside the top 6. Now, is anybody gaining over anybody else? Now, all of the gaps are coming out, so on each occasion, the race leader's lapping quicker than the car in second, which is lapping quicker than the car in third, and so on and so on. So the gaps are actually going out very, very slightly at this stage. The best of the fight really is still for second and third place. Jamie Gibbs fighting away with David Gardner, but at this stage, the car of David Gardner has not been given any opportunity to squeeze its way through to gain a position. So those two cars just flicking their way through Hamilton now. A largely orange BMW, the silver car of David Gardner sitting behind. 37 minutes of the race to go, so it's another 7 minutes before the pit window opens. Then the two-team Mango Seat Leons, the slightly newer car of Darren Goes, still not that far up the road from his teammate Mark Menedich. And another fight that's worth watching out for is for 7th and 8th place at this stage. The white BMW with its light green flashes, Mark Flower, is under pressure from the number 35 Seat Leon in the hands of Steve Gales. As they went round through Hamilton and Oggies, and as they now head down the Bentley Straight, we can see Steve Gales close enough to try and take a place away. He was closing in the 6th Street, but then something happened to make the move and head down towards Brundle and Nelson. So no, it is still BMW ahead of Seat Leon by the look of things. 7th and 8th positions as our race leader is about to go over the start-finish line to conclude lap number 4. All that's still remaining to say came from the pair of BMWs, and the two Seat Leons of Darren Goes and Mark Menedich still together. The first of the Porsches is going to be Warren Allen, who completes the top 6. Over the start-finish line goes the pair of BMWs fighting over second and third place. And well, David Gardner gets close on occasions. He's just taken another 0.3 of a second out of the advantage that Jamie Gibbs had in second position, but he is still half a second adrift. And here's Steve Gales. Is he going to have a nibble up inside of Mark Flower BMW? No, not quite. The Seat Leon still remains in 8th place. The number 8 car of Mark Flower is in 7th position still, but an attempt was made there by Steve Gales, but he just wasn't close enough. So the second and third place battle separated by half a second. The two Seat Leons, Darren Goes and Mark Menedich, separated by 0.8 of a second, and that fight for 7th and 8th place, Mark Flower and Steve Gales, is actually the closest we've got on track at the moment. There's 0.4 of a second between them as they continue to fight over 7th and 8th place. However, I think somebody is getting a slap on the back of the wrist with regards to circuit limits, because a black and white warning flag is being readied, and the number 6 and the number 5 are being displayed on the board. So that will be Warren Allen and the Porsche, which has attracted the attention, his Cayman, of the officials. He just needs to make sure that he stays within the confines of the circuit. He's trying to close the gap on the pair of Seat Leons that lay ahead, but he's clearly just gone beyond the circuit limits, and the officials have picked up on that. So it's just a warning at this stage. He needs to stay within the white lines, which denote the edge of the circuit. If there's a curve beyond the white line, then the curve becomes a very difficult curve line, which he must have done on a couple of occasions, possibly either down at Murray's or maybe at Lindsay's or possibly Nelson's, where you tend to see it as well. But if you do it once and you'll get the warning, if he does it again, then does he still heed the warning? It becomes a 10-second penalty, 30-second penalty. So compensating the confines of the circuit. In a couple of places here at Snetterton, there's pressure pads on the outside of the curb line, which means there's photographic evidence, so it's rather difficult to argue the case. Ben Simmons is back over the start-finish line. He still continues to lead. He's still lapping quicker than everybody else. In second place, Jamie Gibbs has now taken a bit more of an advantage over David Gardner. BMW goes through now and has fallen to 1.2 seconds adrift. Darren Goes still heads the charge of the Mango's Racing Seat Leon. Mark Menedich is still behind him. The best of the fights is still for 7th and 8th place. Mark Flower in the BMW, again under pressure from Steve Gales, but again, looks as though the door is closed, so you could argue Flower stemming the attack from Steve Gales as the pair of them thread their way in towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin. BMW still just ahead of the Seat Leon, so we saw Steve Gales competing in, if memory serves me correctly, a beautiful BMW last year, BMW 2 Series, where he had some good results at the wheel of that later on in the season. He finished 5th in one of the races at Donington Park. He had a good run at Silverstone on the national circuit as well, but this new car, I believe, for him for this year is one that he's still getting used to. He has gone backwards really relative to his qualifying position. He was in 6th place, he finds himself down in 8th position at what of his lap times. He's just done his best lap of the race, which is a 2 minute 12.1, which is still 0.8 of a second quicker than he managed in qualifying, so he's found more pace in qualifying, but it looks as though so has everybody else as well, so he's just slithered his way backwards. We are now just 2 3/4 minutes away from the pit window opening. We have Ben Simmons leading by 7 1/4 seconds at the wheel of his Frugal Racing Caterham. Number 21 car of Jamie Gibbs sitting there in 2nd position. RJ Developments is the team banner that himself right comes from, and in 3rd place is the number 66 car of David Gardner. 46 M3. We saw David Gardner and Chris Mills do a fair chunk of the season. They had a couple of non-finishes along the way. They certainly featured on the podium here at Snetterton last year when we had a round on the 200 circuit. We're on the 300 today. They finished 3rd overall in that BMW. Well, it looks as though they're matching that today, 3rd overall, with still 31 3/4 minutes to go. And Ben Simmons, our race leader, still pressing on. He fastest lap of the race for him last time through. 2 minutes 8.671 means the lead advantage now stretches to 8 3/4 seconds. Mark Flower under pressure again at the wheel of the BMW. Steve Gales almost got himself alongside that time. Every lap he's trying to do the same thing, and well, the more that Steve Gales tries to do it, the more that Mark Flower will know he's going to try and do it, just cover it off each time. So again, there's just no opportunity for Steve Gales to work his way through. He still has Gales though, got the wind in his sails, you could argue, to try and keep right up onto terms with Mark Flower. So as they turn their way out of Palmer, BMW still heading Seat Leon for 7th and 8th place. 9th place is still the leading Class A car that we've got, which is Martin Cully at the wheel of his Seat Leon, Mark 1. He's in 9th place, but he's got 13 seconds, almost 14 seconds in hand between himself and the next car in the class, which is the Porsche Boxster in the hands of Rich Hughes for this first part of the race. Then it is Barry Cully, who is the last of the runners in 11th place, which is Tate Burrell, Nick Barton and Les Barton. Golf wasn't even able to start the race for reasons which we are blissfully unaware of at this stage. The fight for 2nd and 3rd has spread itself out a bit. David Gardner had a bit of a rest now, a bit of a breather, and the auto-revived London BMW is now starting to mount a challenge once more onto the coattails of Jamie Gibbs. 36 ahead of E46, but they were separated by over a second at the beginning of the lap. 1.163 of a second. Well, now looks as though they've closed up once more. The pit window is now open as well, so at any point now in the next 15 minutes they can come into the pits and conduct what is a 2-minute pit stop. There's a loop at pit entry, which the car brakes. There's a loop at pit exit, which the car brakes, and the time between the pair of those cannot be any less than 120 seconds in the pit lane area. It's not the period you have to remain stationary, it is from pit in to pit out is the time. So there's a fight going on for 2nd and 3rd, there's a fight for 4th and 5th. Darren goes and Mark Nenadic, the 2 teammates, still busy squabbling away. Warren Allen is a little bit on his own in the table in 6th place, and then still this good fight going on for 7th and 8th place. Mark Flower still looking to try and hang on to the position. Steve Gales, he's just not going away though like an annoying wasp in the suburbs. Steve Gales, as far as Mark Flower is concerned, he's just not disappearing. There's still just 0.4 of a second between that little fight. So in Class A, Martin Cully leads by a country mile from Rich Hughes, who still has also 6 seconds between himself and Barry Cully, so we're not seeing any of the squabbles in Class A. They seem to have sort of sorted themselves out in the early stages of this one. Race leader is now on to lap number 8. Nobody chose to come into the pits over the course of that lap. So it's a fairly long pit window. There's 15 minutes of pit window, and at any point during that period you can come in and conduct that mandatory pit stop. The squabble for second is just heading out of Williams and onto the Bentley straight, and it looks as though a little bit slower coming out of Williams there was David Gardner. The E46 has fallen away again from David. Just got a little bit sideways going through Williams. You just see the car was slower getting out of the corner, but couldn't see as to whether it was pointing at a strange angle from our position, because we literally just see the roof of the car at that stage. But the gap between the pair of them has opened up again. So it was from 1.1 seconds down to just 0.5. It looks as though it's back to 1.1 seconds again, really. Currently on number 22, still hanging on to 4th place. The 5th place car is his teammate, also being run by the same team, Mango's Racing, Mark Benedict, who we've seen out racing in an Audi A3 previously in this championship, amongst other things. Darren Goes has had Seat Leons at his disposal for a good number of years, came into this newer shape Seat Leon from the Mark II Super Copa that he used to race 2 or 3 seasons ago. And as we look towards that gap between second and third, I said it had come back out again. It was 1.1 seconds, it came down to 0.5 of a second, and it looks as though David Gardner has fallen away a shade more again. That's one of the cars where the transponder isn't working, so they slot it back in, and it's 1.8 seconds, so yeah, it did come back out by a further 1.4 seconds on back alone. As yet, we now have our first pit visitor is in, so Steve Gales is the first into the pit lane. He will remain behind the wheel of the car, but hopefully this is a pit stop which will all go to plan for Steve Gales. Matt Sutley's down in the pit lane. Are we going to see any adjustment of tyre pressures, which is probably the only thing they're going to do whilst that car remains stationary in the pit lane. He's not the only one to dive for the pit lane, because we also have the Class A leader, Martin Cully, heading into the pit lane in his Mark I Seat Leon.
Got plenty of time to focus.
Yeah, both those cars now into the pit lane, so shouldn't be any problems. As you said, both those drivers as well are going solo for today. So at the end of the pit lane, we can see Steve Gales, everything looking good. As you said, tyre pressure checks just being done to make sure they are okay, and there's a team member towards the rear just to make sure it doesn't roll anywhere, and if it needs a push start, then it'll be there to give it one as well. And as you said, we've got the Sagan as well. Well, Martin Cully, so he's down here. Car 110. Martin, of course, long time runner within the Volkswagen Racing Cup and also the Bob Trophy, and he just has a quick chat to the team, make sure everything's okay. As soon as that time has elapsed and ticked away, and the other tip the water, he'll back on his way as well. So it's all good.
Same team, I think, in addition to the team. Is that not Simon Walton?
It is
around the door as well. I thought it was Simon.
He's having his input into that race just to see what's going on, but every little bit of info does help. The that car not quite ready to go, but the Goblin Racing team standing by, and of course we'll be welcoming Barry Collins, who's been very shortly, of course, father and son duo, which again have been racing for many years together in various championships across the UK, and he is looking good, and he is still there as well, but almost that time has now elapsed, so that'll be back on his way in Class S.
Sounds like, yeah, it seems to take forever, doesn't it? Even from a spectating perspective, it seems to take forever for that time to elapse. Now we see Steve Gales heading down the pit lane, and he just needs to make sure that he doesn't break the beam at the end of the pit lane any sooner than 120 seconds. So he's going very, very, very slowly down the pit lane. And now, hopefully, the 120 seconds of a lap, so he can nail it. And again, heading back out there. Martin Cully will get going soon, of course. Both of these cars are the only two that have pitted so far. They have both now dropped off the lead lap as a result of coming into the pit. But of course, they will re-establish themselves back into the order as and when everybody else heads for the pit lane. Here now comes Martin Cully at the wheel of the Mark I Goblin Racing prepared Seat Leon. Back out on the circuit goes Martin. Of course, he's had to vacate the lead of Class A as a result of this pit stop, which means that the number 60 Porsche Boxster of Rich Hughes is now the leading car in Class A, and is running in 8th position. Our race leader, Ben Simmons, though, is now 12 3/4 seconds up the road at the wheel of his caterer. Jamie Gibbs in the BMW, who still resides there in 2nd place. The E46 Beamer of David Gardner is in 3rd place. Darren Goes and Mark Benedict still fighting over what will be 4th and 5th position. And more Aaron very much on his own in 6th place. Mark Flower can put the pedal to the metal, as he is on his own now in 7th place position. He hasn't got the Seat Leon of Steve Gales to worry about anymore. You've got another pit visitor, Matt, and it looks as though the Porsche is in. Rich Hughes, who is in, and this is the first one where we're going to see a change of driver, is it not?
We thought that, but it looks like Rich Hughes is going to do the whole race on his own because there's no Andy Ball and Rich is not looking to get out of the car, so he'll stay in for the full 45 minutes. But again, everything's looking good. Quick tyre pressure check on the right front, and yeah, not too sure why Andy's not there, but we'll try and investigate that one. In the meantime, the race leader has now departed the track and heads our way as well. Number 14, Ben Simmons, comes through, and for him, he'll stay in the car. He's at the further end of the pit lane from where I am, so he now goes to the top end. He'll sit there as well for around about a minute and 45 seconds, and then he'll be back on his way. And with them, also now comes in the BMW, and this should be the first car which does change driver, because Jamie Gibbs, the man who starts, will now be handing that one over to Ryan Gibbs. So he pulls up behind the race leader, comes to a stop, door opens, and the very tall figure of Ryan is about to jump aboard once those seatbelts have been taken off, and everything else looking pretty good with that car. So nothing major to report on that one, and the driver will help in getting the second driver into the car. Every little helps, of course, to get these drivers strapped back in, because it's not the work at the moment, is it? It's quite a way to get those belts over and get the understrap on as well. So it's all going well for them, and the clock now just given to the caterer just to show what time they've got left, and they'll very shortly be back on their way. So through with us at the minute, and the first of those just about to leave once again, the Porsche down the other end of the pit lane.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I have got an amendment sheet which does say delete second driver Andy Ball, but that was the admin's falling behind. I haven't got to that one, so it will just be then Rich Hughes on his own at the wheel of that Porsche Boxster, which makes its way back out of the pit lane and will rejoin the race. So that means that it is Barry Cully now, that takes up the lead of Class A for the moment, largely on the basis that he's the only car in Class A that hasn't stopped as yet. So we've still got the caterer and the BMW sitting in the pit lane, so Ryan Gibbs waiting for the clock to tick away. You're right, Matt, he is a tall chap, isn't he? It's Ryan Gibbs. Ben Simmons still waiting very patiently at the wheel of the Frugal Racing caterer. Maybe just have a chat to one of the team members and find out more. Ben's on his own this weekend. We've great to see him out with Callum McDougall over the course of the last season or so, but Callum is not sharing that caterer today. Of course, it has had to vacate the lead of the race, so it's the number 66 BMW, David Gardner, that still continues to lead. Still 6 minutes as well. Down he goes. Number 22 is up into second place at the moment. Up to third has come number 15, Mark Nenadic. Up to fourth is the Porsche Cayman, number 65 of Warren Allen. Up to fifth is number 8, which is Mark Flower. And up to sixth now is Barry Cully, which is the number 11 car. But of course, all of those cars inside the top 6 have not stopped as yet, as in comes the car that had taken over the lead of the race. This is the number 66 E46 BMW, David Gardner, to give way to Chris Mills at the wheel of the Auto Revive London BMW, Matt.
Yep, so another driver change to be done then. So David Gardner just about to get himself out, which he now does. He had a great stint there to try and get past the other BMW. He didn't quite get it done, but he was right on the tail, which is great to see. So a nice little BMW battle. We'll try and have a quick chat with David once he's done this pit stop and got everything sorted for Chris Mills to jump aboard. In fact, Chris is left now to do the seatbelts on his own, but he'll be absolutely fine. So Chris has himself strapped in. It just shows how small the teams are within these club championships or series, because there's just literally the drivers and one other person, and they have to do pretty much everything for the car. So as soon as David has jumped out, he's already checking the pressures, making sure they're okay, and he'll then just relate back to Chris Mills what that stint was like, what the car's handling like, and how he found the race as well. So Chris is set and ready to go. Just behind that, we've got another BMW that joins us, that one being number 8, which is Mark Flower. So he is sitting there waiting patiently to head back out, and then down the far end we're joined by another Porsche as well. Looks like the number 65 Porsche Warren Allen has vacated. So we're getting through them quite nicely now, as the pit stop window has around about 4.5 minutes to go, so not long for the last few cars remaining to make that stop. But Dave Gardner shuts the door, Chris Mills is aboard, strapped in, and he'll be ready to go in just a few seconds time.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, grab a word if you can. We still have 2 cars that haven't pitted as yet. In fact, 3 cars that haven't pitted as yet. Number 11, Barry Cully, heads over the start-finish line. He's up into 3rd place, but hasn't pitted. Mark Nenadic, the number 15 Seat Leon Supercopa, the Mark II car, is in 3rd place, and is still less than half a second behind Darren Goes, who needs to race at this stage. So the leading car that has pitted is the caterer over the start-finish line in the hands of Ben Simmons. He should, once the final 3 cars have pitted, go back into the lead of the race. Back out of pit lane goes the number 66 BMW, now safely vacated by David Gardner. Chris Mills has taken over that car. We've still got Mark Flowers, BMW, and Warren Allen's Porsche in the pit lane. And Matt, who have you got to chat to?
Yeah, talking about that BMW, I managed to catch David Gardner. David, that was a great little battle you were having there with the two BMWs. Just couldn't quite manage to get past though.
No, I think it's a much lighter car, but we've probably got more power than him. So out the corners, the tight twisty corners, he can just pull away from it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Good battle for another M3.
Yeah, definitely. And you've just done the pit stop there. Chris is now aboard the car. What speed can he carry through the race?
Well, hopefully he should be able to match my times. Obviously, second driver always, gets the hot tyres, hot brakes, so there's never quite as much grip as there is at the beginning. He should be pretty quick.
Just looking as you were heading back out there, your BMW just managed to scrape ahead of the other one there.
Well, that's good news then, yeah. Fingers crossed.
I'll let you get on, David. Thank you very much for that one. Let's see if we can have a quick chat as well with Jamie, who just walks away. Jamie, can we have a chat with you? We're just talking about the battle you were having there. That was great to watch.
Yeah, it was great fun. Really great driving by your man there. Yeah, it's fun. Having a great day, to be fair.
Good stuff. And now, of course, we've got Ryan who's jumped aboard. What, again, from him can we expect?
I thought he's good at sort of say, I just encourage him to tell him the driver's heart out.
And of course, the car in front of the minute is leading by quite a way, so that's going to be a hard one to catch.
Well, that's a little go-kart, isn't it? We'll say no more.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Jamie. So there you go, Jamie Gibbs, we just heard from there, who's driving the orange BMW, and David Gardner we heard from the silver BMW.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I was busy giggling because we almost had the two teammates run into each other. Martin Energies was looking to try and throw his car up the inside of Darren Goes. These are the two Seat Leons, first and second, and there was locked brakes and almost contact between the pair of them. They both run out of the same stable, Mango's Racing, and they both haven't stopped us yet. So that incident averted, but it all looked rather close to say the least. Flat spots on the front tyres of that number 15 Seat Leon as a result of him trying to get out from making contact with Darren Goes, number 22, the race leader, who still hasn't pitted. Now, they've got him into the pit lane fairly quickly because there's about a minute and a half to go before the pit window closes. So if they continue round on this lap, it will be closed by the time they next come round over the start-finish line. So we might see 3 cars head for the pits at the end of this lap because we're still awaiting Darren Goes, Mark Benedict and Barry Cully to come in, and it looks as though into the pit lane comes Darren Goes, into the pit lane comes Mark Nenadic. So from first and second on the road, the two teammates head into the pit lane, and now it just means that Barry Cully is the only one that hasn't pitted, the number 11 Seat Leon.
Yeah, that's not the Seat you can hear in the background. That's one of the Formula 1 cars that's been started up, ready for that session shortly. But the two Seats now work their way in together. So as you just said there, Mark, they're working hard on track in terms of battling. But now let's see what it's going to be like as they rejoin the circuit in a couple of minutes' time. But they'll be once again back on circuit together. So Darren Goes just having everything checked over, looking